Okay, so here we go. True or false, corresponding angles are always congruent. That's actually false. Only if lines are parallel they are congruent. Okay? Consecutive interior angles are complementary. That's false. They're supplementary, right? Supplementary. Only if lines are parallel. In fact, only if the lines connected by the transversal are parallel. That's what we're talking about. Vertically opposite angles are always congruent. That is true. 1 mark for each. Sum of interior angles in a triangle are always supplementary. That is true. They always add up to 180. Angles that add up to 180 are supplementary. It doesn't only have to be 2. It could be more than 2. It could be 5 angles. If they're all adding up to 180, they collectively are called supplementary. If 2 lines are parallel, then alternate exterior angles are always congruent. That's true. And that's when you should have read and be like, oh, okay, I see that. So I got to go back to A and maybe change that, right? Because I make that statement, right? That if lines are parallel. If consecutive interior angles are congruent, then the 2 lines, the line between are parallel. Right? This is false, right? It should have read if the angles are supplementary, right? So this part right here makes that statement false, right? Consider the diagram. Use the name use it to name the following angle pairs. So A and B. So if I go A and B, those are supplementary, right? Supplementary. Or you can call it straight angles, straight line or straight angles, anything like that. I will give you the marks there. Okay. A and G. So if I go A, G, those are alternate interior angles. Okay. DH. So if you go DH here, they're consecutive interior. We don't know if they're parallel, the lines that they connect. We would have to check, right? We would have to have numbers. But they're still called this, right? C and D. C, D are vertically opposite. CE here, they're called corresponding angles. GF. G and F are alternate exterior angles. A and F. Where's A and F? AF, those are corresponding. It doesn't matter how many parallel lines are in between the two you're talking about. If you are looking at A and F, is very important. A and F, if those are the two, you almost want to ignore whatever is in between. You want to ignore the lines that are in between. Just focus on those two. Right? So so what are we at? 7 marks there. 6 for the true and false. So maybe you already do a little bit of a tallying there. Solve for x and determine the values of A and B. These two are equal to each other. Right, so I'm just going to bring the, I'm going to bring that over, so it's really 36x minus 63x, and then on the other side I have minus 90 plus 9, because the 9 comes over adding, and that gives me negative 27. X is equal to negative 81, so there's your negative, right? So negative 27, negative 27, so that is 3. So you get a mark for that. You get a mark for figuring out x. And then next is solving for A and B. This is how I'm going to approach this. Let me just move this down here. You'd have to agree that these two are equal to each other, right? So I'm just going to say that A is equal to 36x minus 9, right? Because they are equal to each other. You don't need to do this part, but vertically opposite angles are congruent, okay? I'm just making an explanation there. Zoom out. And so I plug in, right? 36 times 3 minus 9, that would be 99 degrees for A. B, what are these two called? alternate exterior, so B is equal to A, which is equal to 99, right? Alternate exterior angles are congruent. In this case, the explanation is not required, but at least the work, you should have shown a little bit of work to come up with these numbers, okay? So you get half a mark for each of them, right? So half, half, and 1. So this page is out of 13. This page is 13. 7, oh wait, am I getting this wrong here? Because 7 and 6 would be 13, and the 2 is 15. Sorry. Good thing I double checked. This page is out of 15 if you did all of it. Backside, the fun part. So this is parallel to that line, right? What's happening here? Something. So watch what I'm going to do here. For me, this is the easiest one to do. D. I'm going to do that first. Remember I told you to tell me where you're starting? At the very least, tell me where you're starting if you can. If you get it all right, don't worry about it. Then it's just check, 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 right? So don't make a mistake. I'm just kidding. We're all humans, right? So 180, my bad, minus 137. And that's 43, right? 43 degrees. And then you tell me that straight angles are equal to 180. That's how I started, right? So I start with that. So if you have the 43 and the correct explanation, you get the mark. You may have used a different explanation. I would have to check that. I would have to check if you got it right. But anyways, this is my starting, so I'm going to put 43 in there. And what else can I do? A or C? I'll do C, because these are vertically opposite, correct? So I'll do that one next. So I know this is 110. And all you need to do is vertically opposite angles are congruent. That's all you need to do there. There's no real work required. So just an explanation there. Next we have, I'm going to try A here. I see the triangle. Oh, these are corresponding or alternate something. Do you see any parallel line? Like, do you see any line here compared to this one? You can't use that one. So A is triangle. There's another way to do it. Do you see this one way up here? If you follow that transversal, follow, 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 ignore everything in between. What are these two called? Alternate interior. So if you did that, you get a mark, but you could also have used sum of triangle. What's easier? I'm going to do that third. I'm going to go 27 degrees because they're congruent, and alternate interior angles are congruent, okay? Or sum of triangle, I'm okay with that. Do you get the same answer though? Okay, phew. Because sometimes when I make up questions, I don't think through what students might do, right? So I might make a mistake here and there. If I do make a mistake, you still get full marks, okay? Because it's correct. Yeah. Straight angle. For A? How so? Like this? Do you have 27? So I give you half mark for that, for the 27. Because their straight line wouldn't fly unless you somehow figured out this angle here. You did? So what did you put in there? Okay, you found this okay. So now I have to think. How did you find B first? Oh, corresponding. I see, right? Yeah. This corresponds to this one, right? Okay. So when you did that, did you tell me the order in which you did it, Bridget? Okay, I have a feeling it's going to be right. So for now, give yourselves a mark, but at the front, you'll tell me to go check question 4A, right? Like check 4A. All right. So B is my last one. And yes, that's corresponding, and I'm focusing on the different highlighter. They need to make a highlighter with 4 different colors, you know, like a big, just like a click, right? So these are corresponding, so that would be 137. Any other way of doing that? Well, I guess once you have this 110 here, you have another triangle. You could find this and then that, right? By using the straight angle property. So as long as you show work somewhere around that diagram, inside, like just don't be shy to show me the work, okay? Because I will be detective and go and figure out if I can give you a mark or not, okay? So 4 marks for this one. And then the funnest of them all, right? Sometimes these are a slam dunk, just a one statement. Sometimes you have to do a little bit of work, okay? So in this case, these two are corresponding, right? So we call them that, corresponding angles, and then check, are they congruent? They are. So corresponding angles are congruent, therefore, right, lines are parallel. So it's asking you whether or not lines are parallel. So you have to actually make that statement. If you didn't actually say, therefore, lines are parallel, I would take off half a mark for today. It doesn't, you know, like the other AC said, tell me why these lines are parallel, right? So there was no question about parallelity. Is that even a word? I just made that up. And so here, these are alternate interior. No, exterior. Alternate exterior angles are they congruent? So this is the sign for things not being congruent, okay, not being equal. Therefore, lines are not parallel. Or you can do a parallel with a lines are this. That would also do the trick. So just take off half a mark once, okay? Not every single time. Just half a mark just once. And then the rest, then I think you got it at that point, right? And then here, I have to do a little bit of work. So this is how I'm going to do this. 1.5, 1.5, right? So I would say you get 1 mark if you name it correctly and tell me if what is it congruent, is it not congruent. So like this is kind of like name what is true about them and then your statement. So half, half, half. Half, half, half. So alternate exterior would be half, that they're not congruent would be half, and then your final statement would be half. And then this one is worth 2, and you can tell why, right? You have to do a little bit of work. So you first have to find A. Why is that? Because I see a connection here. I see that they're corresponding. So first I have to figure out angle A. 180, it's a triangle, right? Minus 59, minus 64. No, that's okay. Sum of triangles equal to 180. I will just keep on doing that so you can see how I do it, right? When I ask for an explanation, you know how to do it, okay? This is not necessary. If you just have 57, that's fine. Then I would say corresponding angles are congruent, therefore lines are parallel. So you would get half a mark for the 57, half a mark for naming, half a mark for saying that they're congruent, and then half a mark for your final statement, right? That's where the 2 comes from. Okay, so this page is worth 9. 9 and 15, that's 24. So I think the total up there has to be adjusted, or is it right? Let me see. Total out of 9, the back side, okay? Yeah, we're good. It's out of 24. So put your mark on there, and then I'm going to ask you to flip it upside down so your name is facing down, and then somehow make it come to the front. I'll pick it up